The Shoemaker and the Elves by the Brothers Grimm. I like this one a lot. There was once a shoemaker who had become so poor through no fault of his own that he had nothing left in the world but the leather to make a single pair of shoes. So he spent the evening cutting out the leather for the shoes he planned to make the next day. As he was at peace with the world, he lay down quietly on his bed and asked God's blessing, and then he went to sleep. He said his Shema, basically. The next morning, after he said his prayers and he was about to get to work, there stood the shoes on his table, completely finished. He was surprised and did not know what to make of this. He took the shoes in his hands and looked at them closely. They were so well made that not a stitch was missing, just as if a master shoemaker had been at work. Right then and there, a customer came in, and the shoes pleased him so well that he paid more than the usual price for them. Thank you. With the money he received, the shoemaker was able to buy the leather for 2 more pairs. There he is. He cut them out in the evening, and the next morning was ready to set to work in high spirits. But he didn't have to do any work, for when he got up, there were the shoes, already finished. Customers came in and paid him such good prices that he was able to buy the leather for 4 pairs of shoes. Wow, 4 pairs, that's a lot. Early the next morning, he found the 4 pairs of shoes ready too. And so it went on and on. Whatever leather he cut out in the evening was made into shoes by the next morning. So he was soon earning a good income again and finally became a well-to-do man. That means he has a lot. One evening, not long before Hanukkah, after the man had cut out the leather once more, he said to his wife before they went to bed, "How would it be if we stayed up tonight and found out just who is lending us such a helping hand?" His wife thought this was a good idea and lighted a candle, and they hid in a corner in the room behind all the clothes that were hung up there and kept their eyes open. Oh gosh, what are they going to see? Oh my goodness. At the stroke of midnight, in came 2 little men who had no clothes on. They sat down at the shoemaker's table and took all the work that had been laid out for them. And with their tiny fingers, they began to stitch, sew, and hammer so quickly and so nimbly that the shoemaker was surprised and could not keep his eyes off them. They kept right on until all the work was done that stood ready on the table. And then they darted out of the room. Why, look at that. Wow. They are tiny. Okay, enough. Thank you. The next morning, the shoemaker's wife said, "The little men have made us rich. We must show them that we are thankful. Here they are running around everywhere without a stitch on. They must be freezing. Do you know what? I am going to sew little shirts and little coats and vests and breeches for them and knit a pair of stockings for each of them. And you must make a pair of shoes for each of them, too." Her husband said, "I'd be very happy to do that." There they are. They're making fancy little things. Look at that. There's a little hat. And there's a little shoe. Wait. There we go. There's the focus. And in the evening, when they had everything ready, they laid their presents on the table instead of the work that had been cut out. And then they hid to see how the little men would behave. At midnight, they came dancing in and were all ready to set to work. When they found there was no leather cut out for them, but the pretty clothes, they were first of all surprised. And then they showed how happy they were. There they are, getting dressed. As quickly as they could, they dressed themselves up in their beautiful clothes and sang out, "Now we're boys so fine to see, no longer cobblers will we be." Look at that. There they are. They're dancing. And then they hopped and they danced and they leaped over tables and chairs and finally they danced out of the door. And from that day on, from that time on, they never came back. But everything went well with the shoemaker as long as he lived, and he was successful in everything he tried to do. I always liked that story. I?
Yeah.